Hey all, it's your boy John Atala, and welcome to episode 10 of the Big Boy Basics. We are finally getting into exercises. So what are the best chest exercises to easily progressive overload on and make gains? So disclaimer as usual, these are just general recommendations. These are not the only chest exercises in the book. These are just the easiest to progress on, my personal favorites, the just tried and true staples. These are just things every gym will have, okay? So your gym should have all of this equipment, so it's not anything fancy that you'll need to go looking for. Honestly, if your gym doesn't have this equipment, I would go somewhere else because you're probably not at a gym where people take training seriously. So let's start with the main parts of the chest. It's really comprised of two main muscles. You have the clavicular head, that's the top part of the chest, and then the sternal head, that's the middle and bottom part. So this is all the pectoralis major, just the pecs in general. So when you have a lot of pressing movements though, you're going to use your pecs, you're going to use your shoulders, and you're going to use your tricep. So generally for most push movements, all these are going to work together. And you'll notice in the chest, the fibers run in a bunch of different directions. So that allows for a lot of movement. So what is the function of the chest with all these fibers running everywhere? You have internal rotation. That's really just turning the hands downwards, nothing complicated. Horizontal adduction. That's just bringing your arms to the midline. And then shoulder flexion, and that's raising your arms up. Fancy terms for very simple things. So before we get into the exercises, how do you actually stimulate certain parts of the chest, and can you bias certain parts of the chest? So there's very simple things you just have to remember. For your upper chest, just remember hands up. Any pressing with your hands up like this is going to stimulate your upper chest more. If you want to hit the lower chest, just remember hands down. You want to be pressing downwards. That's going to stimulate your lower chest more. For the middle chest, or the whole chest in general, just bench. It's simple. Just have your hands horizontal. That's going to hit your middle chest very effectively. So the only part of your chest that you don't get to choose or bias where you want to grow is the sternum area. That's the middle portion between your boobies, right? This part. I cannot choose my muscle insertions where they insert on my chest. So that is not something you can choose to grow. No amount of flies or push-ups or incline benching is going to change where your muscle inserts. So you do not have a choice on how close your boobies grow together. So let's start with the first category of exercises for chest on my main template. These are going to be your main movers. And the question is, why are these your main movers? Because they stimulate the chest very well, and they're really easy to progressive overload on compared to other chest exercises. Adding weight or reps each week by week will be fairly simple, following a progression scheme I outlined earlier in the series. Now for the main movers, these exercises aren't best to worst. It's just the order that came into my head, so keep that in mind. Number one, we're going to start the barbell bench press, and who would have thought? I know, highly controversial. The king of chest exercises. Now you can have two ways of benching, one with an arch, a more powerlifting approach, or just a normal bench with your shoulders retracted. You should be able to bench more with an arch when you dial in your form, but just keep in mind when you're benching more because you have an arch, it's not because your chest grew, it's because you adjusted the angle. You now have leg drive and you've shortened the range of motion a little. And this will apply to most chest exercises. So I recommend adjusting your form over time and find what works for you, then stick with it so you can progressive overload accordingly instead of changing your form then thinking you're actually growing muscle when you just changed your form. Now if normal benching bothers you, I would try dumbbell benching. You will have free movement with the dumbbells, plus each arm is working independently, so one getting stronger than the other is a lot less likely. The only real downside with dumbbells is the progression on them. As you get higher, let's say going from 50 to 60 pound dumbbells, that's a really big jump. That's 10 pounds in each hand jump versus a 5 pound for both hands in a standard bench press. Most likely with your dumbbell work, you'll need a bigger rep range to keep progressing consistently, unless your gym has a bunch of smaller dumbbells, which would be nice, but I know a lot don't. Now a different movement pattern, but I also consider a main mover, would be the dip. This is the only main mover that targets the lower pec more, but it also stimulates the chest very well. So if you want to develop your lower pec, this is a great exercise to include for your main mover. The exercise is also very easy to progressive overload. Basically work your way up the assistance stack till there's no more, and then when you can do it body weight for let's say 15 to 20 reps, start adding weight with a weight belt. You'll be surprised how heavy you can go when you have more experience on these. A great main mover for the chest. Now for the last main mover, we have the simple push-up. If you do have trouble doing push-ups, this is a great place to start, even if it's just knee push-ups. Being able to do at least 20 push-ups should be something every person lifting should do. Really any person in general if you're able-bodied. If you're not there yet, just start and work your way up week by week till you can hit 20. Once you're there, if you like it a lot, you can keep going with reps or start loading plates on your back with the help of a friend. Now, I personally don't program push-ups anymore because of the practicality of that. I don't always have a training partner to put a weight on my back, or I don't always have my weighted vest. And if I want to increase reps, I have to do so many push-ups, it basically turns into cardio at this point. But if you cannot do 20 push-ups, I would recommend this as a starting point and should be a focus. So we have all the main movers. Let's focus on to the second category, which is for upper chest. It's surprisingly uncomplicated again. First, we have the incline barbell bench press. In the incline position, you involve your shoulders a little more and your upper pec, so it is biasing these. So keep in mind though, in any incline position, you'll be doing less weight. So don't expect to slap on your normal benching weight on your incline press. The angle is different, plus you're using more upper chest, so you'll be weaker in that position. If you don't like the incline barbell bench press, we also have the incline dumbbell press. The main difference between this and the barbell is going to really be the same as the flat barbell bench press versus the dumbbell bench press. But either of these exercises are going to serve your upper chest well and stimulate your shoulders. Now, flat benching does stimulate your shoulders, like I said earlier, but since you're closer to that normal shoulder press position, the incline bench press will stimulate shoulders a little more compared to a flat. Now, if you want to focus on your calisthenics to hit your upper chest, putting your feet on something so they're elevated will put you in that same arm path as the incline bench position. So the decline push-up would be your best bet if you want a push variation. Now, keep in mind it's the same thing as the normal push-up, but you can't really load this one easily since it's most likely to slide off your back. So this exercise is lowest on my recommendation list, but if you cannot do them, I highly recommend working up to 20 reps like the standard push-up. You should be able to move your body, not just weights. Now for the last movement series, we have the fly. So what are the best variations of the chest fly? For a standard fly, the machine fly will do. You don't have to set up anything fancy. You just sit on the machine, sit your arm path, and then you're good. Progressive overload is really easy, and you can really get a nice stretch in your pec. The nice thing about the machine fly is the resistance curve is the same throughout the whole movement, unlike the dumbbell fly, which is actually my least favorite fly. On the machine fly, the weight is pulling from the sides, making the whole movement difficult. On a dumbbell fly, the bottom is the hardest with the most stretch, but as you get to the top of the fly, you can sit there for a long time because gravity is pushing down instead of to the sides. So the fly gets progressively easier in a dumbbell fly as you get closer to the top instead of having a smooth resistance curve like the machine fly. Now the dumbbell fly is still a good option, but I would choose a machine fly or a cable fly over it. Now where the machine fly fails, it only works in one horizontal plane, usually if you have a standard machine at your gym. So what if you want to target your upper or lower chest on a fly? This is where you need cables. To hit your upper chest, remember, hands up and start in a low to high cable fly. So that's where your hands are down and then they move towards your face upward. I made a whole video on the seated low to high cable fly I've been doing, which I'll put up here if you want to watch. If you want to hit the lower pec, do a high to low cable fly so your hands are ending in a downward position, targeting the lower chest. Or if you just want to hit your chest normally, you can do a standard fly in the horizontal position. So the cable fly gives you a lot more options compared to the machine fly if you need them. So on your full body split, how do you program this? It's very simple. I only give you 3 categories. You have your main movers, your incline, and your fly. And you're just going to choose one of these exercises, then do 3 sets of that each day. So let's just say on day 1, you're doing an incline position. Pick one. So let's say the incline barbell bench press. You're going to pick that for 3 sets. And that's all you're doing day 1. Day 2, you can have your main mover for your chest. And let's say you pick dips. So you're going to do dips for 3 sets. So you have 6 weekly sets so far on Monday and Wednesday. And then the last day of the week, you can do a fly. So if you want to hit your upper chest, do a cable fly, low to high. If you want to hit your lower chest, do a high to low cable fly. If you just don't care, do a machine fly. So it's highly malleable, right? So all you really need is 3 sets with each of these, and you're going to stimulate your chest very well. And you can pick any of these exercises, and you're going to get pretty decent gains if you're going hard with 9 weekly sets. And that's going to put your chest in multiple different positions, Like we said, it has a bunch of different fibers running a bunch of different ways, so it's good to have it in different positions. Now you'll notice I didn't include a decline bench. It's my personal opinion that flat benching and dips are enough for most people that want to develop their lower chest. Plus, most gyms don't have a nice decline bench, so I didn't want to include that as well. And if you do want to hit your lower chest, really good at dips, you can do a high to low cable fly to hit your lower chest as well. So there are options without including a decline bench. Now, if you do want to emphasize the lower pecs and you want to decline bench on a day, I'd remove your incline benching day and replace with a decline benching day instead. You know, barbell or dumbbell, whatever you prefer. That way you're still getting 3 different movement patterns. You have the main mover, then decline bench, then you have the fly as well. You're still hitting the chest 3 different ways for 9 weekly sets. Now, what about all the fancy chest machines? I did not include them because not every gym has them. Guys, all my training so far has just been barbells and dumbbells with minimal machines. Most of this progress is just from free weights. You do not need anything fancy. I could argue you can even get great results with some calisthenics and then progressing to weighted calisthenics. We don't need anything fancy. The tried and true basics are enough for most people looking to put on muscle. If you're not trying to become a pro bodybuilder or anything else, right? If you just want to be healthy, put on some muscle, you'll be fine. So since we're talking about pecs, the quote of the video, tapping melons with your knuckles is a good way of making the selection of the store, but apparently is frowned upon at the strip club, by Brad Wilkerson. So up next, so we did the chest. Next, we're going to program back, the best back exercises, and we'll get to that and you'll learn how to get a huge back. If you're enjoying the series, make sure to check out the whole playlist. I'm giving you everything you need to get started in the gym. Like the video and subscribe if you're enjoying the channel. Peace.